Valentine's Day had always been special for Emily and Jake. It was their tradition to spend the evening at La Rosa, a charming little restaurant nestled in the heart of town. This year was no different, or so Emily thought. She arrived at La Rosa at 7 p.m., dressed in a scarlet gown, her heart fluttering with anticipation. The dim candlelight flickered, casting eerie shadows across the restaurant's walls. A subtle unease settled over her as she realized the place was unusually empty. The only other patron was an elderly man, sitting at a table in the far corner, staring blankly at a half-full wine glass. "Table for two," Emily told the hostess, who offered a tight-lipped smile and led her to a candlelit table by the window. She checked her phone. No messages from Jake. He was never late. Minutes stretched into an hour. The waiter, a gaunt man with hollow eyes, approached. "Would you like to order?" "I'm still waiting for someone," she replied, forcing a smile. The waiter inclined his head. "Of course, but be careful, miss. Time moves differently here." Emily frowned before she could question his odd remark. A folded note was placed in front of her. The handwriting was unmistakable Jake's. "Meet me in the basement." A cold shiver traced her spine. La Rosa didn't have a basement, did it? Swallowing her unease, Emily stood, scanning the restaurant. The elderly man was gone. Even the waiter had vanished. The silence was suffocating, yet an unseen force drew her forward, leading her past the kitchen to an unmarked wooden door. She hesitated before pressing her palm against the door. It creaked open, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward into darkness. "Jake," she called, but only her echo answered. Heart hammering, she descended the steps. The air grew damp, filled with the metallic scent of rust or was it blood. At the bottom, a single bulb flickered overhead, casting pale light on the concrete floor. In the center of the room stood a table, and on it, a heart-shaped box. Emily's breath hitched. A whisper brushed her ear, though no one was there. "Open it." With trembling fingers, she lifted the lid. Inside lay a still-beating human heart, its crimson surface slick with fresh blood. A scream clawed at her throat as she stumbled back. The walls trembled, the shadows around her twisting into grotesque shapes. "Emily!" The voice was barely a whisper, yet she recognized it instantly. "Jake!" She spun around. He stood there, his face pale, eyes hollow, a gaping wound where his chest should have been. "You took too long," he rasped. "Now you're part of it." The basement door slammed shut. The last thing Emily saw before darkness swallowed her was the heart, still beating, still alive, and a second box, waiting to be opened.
3 years ago, I had no idea that one comment on an Instagram story would change my life forever. But that's exactly how it all began with Nikki. It started innocently enough. I saw one of her Instagram stories, left a comment, and boom, we started chatting. What started as a casual conversation turned into late-night chats, constant laughs, and before I knew it, I had her number, then Snapchat. Things escalated quickly, but in the best way possible. After just a week of texting, we met in person. I remember that day so vividly. It was like meeting someone I had known forever. There were no awkward silences, no forced conversations. It was effortless. This was right after the holidays in January, and Valentine's Day was creeping up fast. Usually, that day felt like a looming reminder that I was single, but this time, it felt different. With Nikki, there was no pressure, no need to impress, no need to overthink. We just fit. It was comforting knowing that this year, I wouldn't be spending Valentine's Day alone. But what I didn't realize was how much she would come to mean to me over the next 3 years. The first year was like a dream. We explored new places, had deep conversations, and built memories. Every day, I learned something new about her. Her favorite songs, her childhood stories, her weird but cute quirks. But, like every relationship, we had our challenges. Year 2 tested us. We had our fair share of disagreements. There were moments where I questioned if we were meant to last. But through it all, Nikki always had this way of grounding me. She was patient when I was stubborn, understanding when I was irrational. And that's when I realized, love isn't just about the good times. It's about showing up even when things aren't perfect. Now, here we are, 3 years in, and I can honestly say that Nikki is my person. The one who knows me better than I know myself. The one who reminds me to take deep breaths when I'm stressed. The one who makes life's mundane moments feel magical. Relationships aren't always a fairy tale, but if you find someone who makes you feel safe, who grows with you, who chooses you every day. Hold on to them. Because love isn't about perfection, it's about finding someone who makes the journey worthwhile. A quiet moment, maybe a sunset, them sitting side by side. 3 years ago, I sent a simple comment. I had no idea that would lead to this, but I'm so glad you did.